Hello everyone, welcome back to another James Bond review. Pretty quick and easy review. This film has got a few key points, but nothing else apart from that. This is James Bond film number 5, You Only Live Twice, from 1967. Of course, Sean Connery is 37 years old in this film, so let's get straight into it. The opening scene, we have three world powers, the UK, USSR and USA, discussing basically if World War III is going to happen, similar to what's happening right now actually, over the use of rockets and space programs. UK doesn't have a space program in 1967, so I'm not too sure why they're there. But anyway, they suspect, UK suspect, this is actually from Japan, and of course we do as they are right. And they mention, of course, James Bond is already in Hong Kong, working on things now. I'm not quite sure why he's in Hong Kong, he just said Japan. I don't know, maybe he was doing something else. Of course, Hong Kong was British back in 1967, so you didn't need a passport to get to it. However, we find out that it's because he actually basically did a assisted suicide, basically. He was shot by a bunch of Hong Kong nationalists, and now everyone expecting him dead, he can now get on with his mission undetected. Money Penny, again played by Louise Maxwell, and M, again played by Bernard Lee. Q will appear in a minute. James Bond's task is simple: find out where the rockets come from and who is behind it all. That's basically all Sean Connery did at his time as Bond, but it still makes very, very good films. So James Bond arrives in Tokyo, which actually looks very, very good in this film, and begins watching some sort of sumo wrestling show when Aki comes along, who is not the Bond girl. We'll get to the Bond girl in a minute. He's a friend of Tiger Tanaka, who is basically kind of the Japan's version of 007, kind of similar to how Felix Leiter is the USA version of 007, although he does not appear in this film. Then they arrive at Henderson's house, which is played by Charles Gray, who actually plays Blofeld in Diamonds Are Forever, which is Sean Connery's next and last film. So yeah, all of audiences noticed that. I don't know, I'm not a huge fan of when Bond actors play several roles. I don't know, because like I said, especially in this case for Henderson, played by Charles Gray, it made it look very confusing. Although it still works and was a pretty good film. Henderson, however, is stabbed in the back before we can tell Bond any vital information, and he jumps out a paper window. I mean, if you've got paper, if your house is made of paper, I mean, you can only really expect to get stabbed, to be honest with you. Anyway, James Bond disguises himself as that villain who just killed Henderson, and finds out where he came from. He then ends up beating the sort of same sumo wrestler we saw in the last scene. I'm not quite sure who this person's supposed to be, just generally a henchman. And he decides, well, he gets killed by James Bond. Apparently 3 or 4 punches to the head kills someone. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't make a very exciting film if he didn't die, to be honest with you. Then here we finally have Tiger Tanaka, played by Toshio Tamba, who is a very, very good Japanese actor, in my opinion. And he has his very own train. He's actually quite a rich person. So this is the Bond girl. This is, she is called Kissy Suku in the film, played by Mia Hammer, who is actually just 24 years old in the film. And there was Q. Again, Q is played by Desmond Llewellyn. And with, of course, the most iconic bit in the whole film, I could not leave this out, Little Willie, the same thing pulled by the tank in World War I. And that is actually a real helicopter, it actually does fly. However, that of course is all green screen, because they wouldn't really risk flying that around, because if he died it would be lawsuits everywhere. So James Bond can't find anything suspicious, it's just a bunch of volcanoes really. However, when he suddenly realises that he's getting chased by 4 attack helicopters, he realises something must be going on, and we can see all the things this helicopter can do. We've got mines, we've even got a flamethrower, we've got machine gun turrets. It's really this great classic stuff you would expect from a Bond film. So finally, in the final battle, well, not the final battle just yet, James Bond disguises himself as a sort of ninja, and then the spaceman. So I guess he's prepared to go into space. He doesn't actually go into space in this film, in case you're wondering. That is not until Moonraker, which is not until 1979. And finally we get a full face reveal of Blofeld, played again by Donald Pleasant. So they still think he's all dead. Blofeld doesn't. All of the other crew seem to think he was dead. Yeah, it's quite a confusing film, but it's quite a good one still. Actually one of my favourite Bond films. Blofeld then says the title of the film in a sentence, which actually happens in every James Bond film, come to think of it, but that doesn't really matter. Anyway, he then explains that in this film, Blofeld isn't portrayed very well, I don't think. I mean, he's kind of just seems sort of comedic, comic relief actor. He's not really intimidating anyone. He's just kind of going about his business and doesn't really care whether this goes right or wrong. Then he sends the rocket up, ready for World War III. He would die if there was a World War III, so I'm not quite sure what he's trying to achieve. Tiger and his ninjas then come down. We have the final battle, which is the ninjas versus the Spectre henchmen, basically. I mean, that's actually pretty amazing. Imagine if, like, Q or M suddenly went down and did something like that. But they actually never do that. I mean, maybe in the coming up Bond film, because now we've, of course, got a young Q and M, so that would actually work out quite well. Why Kissy is wearing a bikini, I don't know. I mean, Eric said again, probably full of some sexist references about wearing bikinis and unpleasant things like that. I mean, why would you wear a bikini if World War III was about to start? So Blofeld has this self-destruct thing, which I think is the most confusing part about the film. I mean, why would you have a self-destruct thing? Did Blofeld just know that the whole place was going to explode and the bomb was going to find him? Or was that just there for the hell of it? Yeah, I really don't know what that was all about. We get a similar ending to Thunderball. Everyone goes in a life raft. And that is simply the end of the film. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.